Good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. I've got a treat for you. On the BBC News, Science and the Environment, it's got a quiz. Now, I haven't run through this yet. I've just seen this. It says, test your knowledge of evolution. As if evolution is a true and wondrous thing. Now, by Helen Briggs, BBC News, 25th of September. I did see this last night, but I was a bit too whacked to actually do something about it. So here we are. Let's take a look and scroll down. We have some school children. What came first, the chicken or the egg? It's a common question posed by children. Well, it must have been planted there in the first place, I reckon, because I don't think children would actually bother to think about that. So it's actually laid in their minds, for want of a better word. So let's take a look, see where we are. University of Bath. Now, it says here, even spelling the word evolution can be tricky when you're 7, but Sophia tells me confidently that evolution basically means engineering. So, engineering, let's think about that. Engineering, yes, you have to take certain things, put them together to end up with a result, something that usually works. So there, what we are doing, or scientists, are reverse engineering this evolution theory. So there we go. And Jack says that sharks are lighter underneath, so that when the sun is on the sea, you can't really see the sharks. So I think that means when you look up, you can't see the sharks. I mean, you see a silhouette, don't you? Or is it lighter on top? No, it says underneath. I'm a bit confused. I mean, you just see a silhouette, wouldn't you? If the sun was above and... Okay, so he's talking about the fact that sharks have evolved a form of camouflage that helps them sneak up on their prey. I thought speed was their most, distinctive, asset in the hunting of prey. Okay. At the opening of the new Milner Centre for Evolution at the University of Bath, school children are learning about evolution through the help of cuddly sharks of all shapes and sizes, fruit flies, and even a tame owl. So that means the cuddly sharks aren't tame, and neither's the fruit flies. But, cuddly sharks, I wouldn't call sharks cuddly. Not unless it's like, the smaller ones, but there you go. Their comments reveal a budding interest and knowledge of evolution at even a tender age. Yes, get them while they're young, people. Get them while they're young. So how much do you know about evolution? Test your knowledge here. Wow. Let's just read on first before I push that all-important button. Quiz test your knowledge of evolution. Evolution is based on well-accepted scientific principles, yet there are many misconceptions. Test your knowledge of evolution here. So read that again. Evolution is based on well-accepted scientific principles. It doesn't mean to say that they're proven. It means that they've been accepted by the governing bodies that run science, basically. So they've been well accepted. So it's not... it doesn't mean to say that they've derived to a solution and they've solved it. It's an accepted scientific principle, which is quite different to actually known facts. So, they're not lying because they're selling you. It's well accepted scientific principles. Doesn't mean to say they're set in stone. And here we have an evolutionary wall thingamajig with some animals on there. Oh, look, and there's a human. What looks like to be a human one there. There's a welder. There's a bus driver. There's a mechanical engineer. There's a bin man. That's probably me there, So anyway, let's start off with the questions. Humans are still evolving, true or false? Well, I think most of you out there who bothered to come here and watch this would say false. So I'm going to click the radio button that says false. But hang on. Oh dear, I've got it wrong. True. It's true. So humans are still evolving, true or false, and they're saying it's true. On the outside, it may look like we haven't changed much, but humans are continuing to evolve, as are other animals, including the apes. We're still evolving new characteristics that help us survive in a changing world, from drinking milk to fending off diseases. Well, from drinking milk, haven't people drank milk for probably from day one, when they realised it was nice to drink? Some people are intolerant to the lactose. Some people just don't like the concept of drinking other animals' bodily fluids, including me. But that help us survive in a changing world. Well, I don't know. Fending off diseases. But man has created such medicines and what have you to fend off diseases. Or they treat the symptoms that diseases create until it dies down. But before I go to the next question, I'm just going to read down a bit. So it says, thank you, Paula Kova, University of Bath, for help with the quiz. If you cannot see the quiz, click here. I can see the quiz, but we're just going to read down what they say before moving on. Scientific understanding of evolution is well accepted in the UK. Here's the acceptance again. It doesn't mean to say we've actually proven it and we're actually laying out all the scientific facts regarding what we have found to prove evolution. No, it's been well accepted principles compared with other countries, but past surveys have suggested that at least 1 in 5 people are unsure about it. Right, so that's hence why they're teaching the children all the lies. The classic one is people don't want to say we're descended from apes, but actually we're not. Well, we're not descended from a common ancestor, says Dr. K. Fountain, a veterinary scientist studying the evolution of bacteria in bats. Now, he's studying the evolution of bacteria in bats. I would say that's quite somewhat removed from humans. She brandishes a furry elephant hoof that fits on a human hand to give a sense of how, over millions of years of evolution, animals lost their side toes and developed a single hoof. And here we go. Look, we have somebody in a mock-up of an elephant foot. I suppose that could be a horse there or something, you know. Well, these animals don't need toes, do they really? They don't need separate toes. They don't need to articulate because they move, you know. Elephant has to support a lot of weight, so you would expect his foot or their foot to be quite large to support the weight, whereas a horse's long slender leg and it's got a solid hoof at the bottom to traverse the rough terrain and maybe walk through grasses and boggy fields, to, you know. But it's just crazy, isn't it? Animal legs. By studying different animals, you can see how legs developed through time. Well, I wonder how an elephant got to be a horse or a horse got to be an elephant. It beggars belief, doesn't it? But meanwhile, colleague Dr. Nicholas Priest is teaching children the basics of evolution through his work on fruit flies. He says evolution as a core concept is one that everyone can relate to, provided they get the right exposure to it. In other words, you can believe in evolution because if you take on what we tell you, it's going to become the norm. We're not going to tell you the problems we have about being 90% connected to apes, because it's very selective at which part of the DNA they want to say that we're 90% related to. So if you look at the adverts on the television which says 98% of 472 people surveyed agreed with our product, well, that figure could be taken from 10,000. So if you did an overall sum, it would be less than 98%. It might be 60, but they pick the most poignant number within a percentage of people to make the statistic look favourable. I'm sort of going off the idea of evolution here, but again, it's very selective of how they want to use the data. So to some extent, the reason why we have these misconceptions is there hasn't been enough clear message about what the story The story is, and what the latest evidence really shows. It's because they can't find it. It's because they can't find it, people. So they have to make things up. Other stories you'd like to read. Scientists at Bath are launching a free online course, Understanding and Teaching Evolution. So you can go and teach all the lies, people. We'll tell you how to actually teach how it is we get the concept of evolution into people's brains. First prerequisite, that they have to be young and impressionable. Get them while they're young. To help people better understand and teach the subject, yes. They're also carrying out research to improve teaching of evolution in schools. There you go, people, there you go. So it's just rolling out. Home educate your children if possible. I wish I did. Dr. Mama Hejmadi says the research shows it is better to teach genetics first, namely the basics of how inheritance works, to get a better understanding of evolution theory. Thank you, evolution theory. Because evolution is life itself. All life on Earth has an evolutionary basis, she says. Based on what? On a theory. It's not just about understanding how life began, but also in terms of treatments and therapies, stem cells or antibiotic resistance. All of these health issues have an underpinning of understanding evolution. Well, I could swear at this point, but I would just say it just makes my toes curl for that statement. It's like saying one thing and then completely contradicting it with something else relating to medicine to understand the genetics. Well, I think I'll go back to the quiz. Excuse me a minute while I scroll back. So I haven't scored a point yet. I'm still on question 1, and it said I said true. So the answer was true. I said false. So I got that one wrong. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's go to the next question. Look at this. Look at that. Yes. I wonder if this animal was alive. Hopefully. What's the point of painting an animal's fingernails? I don't know. It's probably what do you call them? A golf monkey. So evolution. This is question 2, by the way. Evolution can only happen slowly over long periods of time. True or false? Now, this is a tricky one, isn't it? Because if I say true, that's the concept. I'd be saying true to the concept which they say. But I say it's false because evolution, I don't believe evolution is right. So by answering this question, I'm almost saying that evolution is a thing, but I don't agree that it's over a period of time. It could be less time. So am I answering true or false to slowly over time, which means I think evolution happens over quicker time? But if you were I'm sure I can feel you thinking, you would say false. So I'm going to say false. Let's see what the answer is. I say false. And it's false, people. There you go. I was right. So I was probably saying that thinking, I mean, right. So false. Oops, sorry. Let me just show you there. Sorry. So false. Almost everything changes a little over time as genes mutate. Evolution can happen over a timescale of thousands or millions of years, but that's not always the case. For instance, there's been a rapid rise in antibiotic resistance among bacteria. The first bacterium resistant to penicillin was found a few years after the drug started to be used on a large scale. But that's bacteria, isn't it? We're not talking about mammals. So how does the bacteria within us make us change as a human? Make us change biomedically or whatever. You know, if the bacteria suddenly decided to say, right, what we're going to do is we're pumping all this stuff into us, what we're going to do is run a hand and go like this. So as soon as they try to put some medicine in it, we're going to go like this. You know, and then we'll build up stronger. So you've got 3 arms now, people, so we've mutated because the bacteria have made us mutate. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen, people. Humans are still humans, right? Bacteria within us may change. It's the bacteria. Look at the pet flea thing. You know, I can't remember what it's called now. But they have to change that strain every so many years because the fleas get resistant to the bacteria. That's something in their makeup, not ours. Not ours, right? So by comparing a flea or bacteria to evolution, I think is barking up the wrong tree. But what do I know? So next question, number 3. Oh look, the giraffe's long neck is an example of evolution. True or false? Well, it's got to be false, hasn't it? I mean, giraffes probably always been a giraffe. So we can get at the acacia plants, yes. But let's see what they say. So I'm saying false. I'm saying that the giraffe's long neck is not an example of evolution. Oh, so it has to be false. Let's see. I see. Oh, thank heavens. So I was wrong. So true, it says it's true. Charles Darwin argued long ago, he didn't prove, he argued long ago that the giraffe's long neck comes from natural selection. Well, that's his concept of what he thinks evolution is, right? This is where individuals that have inherited characteristics which help them to survive and reproduce pass on the genes that make them successful. So I wonder what happened to all the short-necked giraffes. They couldn't eat, so they couldn't stand. So what did they eat before? And then how did they know that the acacia plants were good for them? So, can't reach them, die. Next one, a little bit longer. Can't eat very much, die. Next one, longer neck. Come on, get real, people. Does that sound stupid? Over millions of years. Imagine how many giraffes must have died before the first one went, yep, they're nice, people. They're nice. They're nice. Yeah, don't worry about it. Your kids will be able to reach these. It's crazy. So in the case of the world's tallest living land animals, the giraffes, those with long necks, were more likely to survive hard times and pass on their genes to the next generation than their short-necked rivals. So have we found any of these short-necked rivals of giraffes? Any fossils, perhaps, of a evolutionary chain between long-necked giraffes to short ones? There isn't a shred of evidence for that. Again, this is all conjecture. It's all misguided concepts from somebody centuries ago that came up with this idea. But they want to roll with it, because they want to pervade that the Earth is a lot older. Oh, it's 4.5 billion years old, and these animals come when they evolved, and they are as what they are today, and they're still continuing to evolve. Which I'd like to go forward 1,000 years, maybe 1,000,000 years, to see what these animals look like, But that's not going to happen. But anyway. So that's right. So it's likely to survive hard times and pass on their genes to the next generation than their short-necked rivals, who weren't as good at reaching food from high branches. Well, they could have developed some sort of arms so they could piggyback onto the next animal or something. Maybe, why didn't evolution go that way? Don't know. But there you go. So that was question 3. So currently my score is 1 out of 7 because I was misguided on that question where I got it right, because I argued for the opposite way. But there you are. The questions are very interesting, so we'll look at the context of the questions. Next question. Stop waffling, CJ. Right. Evolution can cause an individual to change during their lifetime. True or false? Now, what change would you be talking about? What change indeed? I mean, a chameleon there does say they can change their colours. That's not evolution. That's something in the biochemistry of that creature. Very beautiful creature it is. Yes. So, is that true or false? Evolution can cause an individual to change during their lifetime. True or false? It has to be false, people. I can't answer true to that. I have to say false, because evolution, as I think, doesn't exist. Oh, bugger. I'm right. Oh, bugger. So, there we go. It says false. Oh. Now, let me read why they say it's false. Let me just repeat the question. Evolution can cause an individual to change during their lifetime. True or false? And the answer is false. Oh, dear. Evolutionary change is based on changes in the genetic makeup of populations over time. Populations, not individual organisms, not like the bacteria you are studying, changing fruit flies and bats and stuff, evolve. Gene changes are produced by random mutation, and over the course of many generations, natural selection may favour those that are advantageous, causing them to become more common in the population. Individuals retain the same genes throughout their lifetime. So, I was on to a non-winner. I couldn't, because, people would have said true, and then they answered false for that. So people go, oh, I see, so I've been educated now. Oh, so I've got 2 out of 7 right now. Okay. Next question. Now, humans are descended from monkeys. True or false? Now, what's the bet they're going to say false on this? So that's a very holistic statement there. Humans are descended from monkeys. People would say true, but I reckon the correct answer, I bet, is false, because they have a reason for it, and they're going to throw in a little diversion to actually try and make evolution concept that more embedded. So let's have a look. No, I haven't looked at this yet. I just saw the quiz and thought, I will do this. I was going to do it live, but I thought, well, I've got things to do and I don't want to get waylaid. I could have turned the chat off, but anyway, I'm not going to that. So here we go. Let's see what they say. I say false, that we aren't descended from monkeys. Oh, bugger, look, I was right again. Oh, no. Okay, so it's false. So humans are descended from monkeys, true or false? They're saying false. Let's see why. Let's read why. It's a common misconception that humans evolved from monkeys. In fact, we both evolved from a common ancestor which lived millions of years ago. Humans and chimps share more than 90% of their genetic sequence. Thus, they are the closest living relatives, but they are not our great ancestors. Well, I mean, so we didn't come from monkey butt, right? But there was something before that we both descended from. So what is that? Where is it? What'd you call it? Can't prove it. So just because they say we share 90% of their genetic sequence, that's a genetic sequence that has been selected where 90% is a match. Everything else doesn't match 90%. But they choose to narrow down the genetic sequence which makes 90%. Chimps have got 2 extra genomes than us, which makes for a completely different animal. You know, completely different. Just because they've got 4 limbs and they have human traits with their eyes and their lips and whatever. We humanize everything. Look at all the cartoons around there from Pixar to Disney. They humanize every animal. So, you know. Next question. Oh, bugger, I've got 3 right. I wanted to be wrong on it all. But this is set up so that you do think, you know, the opposite, but you get it right. As I said, number 5. Is it 5? Yeah, no, number 6. Evolution results in progress. Organisms are always getting better through evolution. True or false? Now they're talking about organisms. Organisms, people. Organisms. Why don't they use animals? They don't say animals. They're saying organisms. But I'm going to say, well, if I say that's false, but then organisms can actually mutate and protect themselves on a molecular level that we have no control over, because our bodies are designed to do things without us interrupting, like our probiotics and all the good bacteria that's within us, keeping us alive and from harm. We have no control over that. Okay, so maybe I'm entering into the realm. So I'll read the question again. Evolution results in progress. Organisms are always getting better through evolution. True or false? I don't know what to answer that. If I say true, I'm accepting that, you know, evolution is a result in, it was a progress, is progressing. So I have to say false. Oh, I was right again. Oh no, false. I've got 6 out of 7 questions right. That's ridiculous. Right. False. We tend to think of evolution as a process whereby species improve and become less primitive. Why does evolution have to make people things more primitive or less primitive? Surely evolution adapts something in its environment to make it more efficient to survive. Isn't that the principle of evolution? Not to make it less primitive. You know, I don't expect to see a horse reading a newspaper or some sort of electronic device in a million years because it's less primitive now. It was still going to be a bloody horse. Oops, excuse my language. It's a bit early for that. But anyway, read on. But that's not always the case. Natural selection... Oh dear, excuse me. Foot. Natural selection does produce improved abilities to survive and reproduce. But this does not always produce living things perfectly suited to their environment. Well, as I was saying. Natural selection is limited by natural variation that appears by chance in a species. And once living things have gone down a certain evolutionary path, some improvements are impossible. For example, wouldn't it be great if we could get food from light, like plants? It's too late now for humans. Why is it too late? Why is it too late? Why can't we just try and evolve? Get everybody starving and get them to stand in the sun. They may develop some sort of pigment which absorbs the light and does some sort of, benefit from it. Gets the energy. As long as we have energy, if we could convert some sort of energy into sugars, we'd survive, wouldn't we? But it's too late for us. It's too late. If it's too late for us, it must be too late for everything else then. How is everything going to evolve from now on then? Don't know. Right. Last question. No. So what is it? Oh, there's Charles Darwin there. The Origin of Species. Look at old binding books. Look. Now the question. Last one. Oh, I've got 4 out of 7. Sorry, I was reading the 6 out of 7. So I've got 4 out of 7. Evolution and religion are not necessarily incompatible. True or false? Now these true or false questions are terrible because look at, I'm going to read it, that bang, it just stands out a mile. Evolution and religion are not necessarily incompatible. Now you could ask that question in another way. Are evolution and religion compatible? That's what it's asking. True or false? But there's like a double negative there. So you could be cajoled into picking the wrong answer and thinking it's right. You have to read the question. It's like one of those Mensa questions, You have to read it, concisely. Evolution and religion are not necessarily incompatible. So what they're asking is it compatible? Are they compatible? My brain's hurting. Evolution. If I say no, is it true or false, or yes or no? Let's say false is no and true is yes. Evolution and religion aren't necessarily incompatible. Yes. Evolution and religion aren't necessarily incompatible, which means they are. Or no, evolution and religion are not necessarily compatible, which is not. Evolution and religion are not necessarily incompatible. So I have to say, I'm going to say false. And I got it wrong. Of course I did. I'm thinking about it too hard. I should have just stuck with my initial gut instinct. So true. They're saying it's true. So I've still only got 4 out of 7. So evolution is not about the origins of life, but how animals and plants change over time. Excuse me. People of some, but not all, different faiths and levels of scientific training see no contradiction between science and religion. Well, that's nicely put, I think. But there you go. Evolution is not about the origins of life. It's not where we come from. No, forget about that. We're here now. It's how animals and plants change over time. How have they changed over time? Apparently, what's alive now only represents 1% of anything that's ever lived here. Where is all the fossils? Where are they all? Perhaps they're more in China and Mongolia. You just find it all there. I'm certainly they've gone through Africa with a fine tooth comb to try and find all these fossils. But not a lot's ever happening, is it? And like I said before, they could be stuck in a museum somewhere, waiting to be discovered because they didn't realise what it was. So that's it, people. So take a look at this yourself and go through it yourself and just look at the questions. Okay. More on this evolution thing, and they're going to be teaching school children this. So if I was a modern parent, I shouldn't say modern parent, a parent now, and I read this and I had the feelings that I did have, I'd probably do something about it. Because you can quite rightly take your children out of religious education if that's so be it. You can get them to move out or if they have a certain faith, you can pull them out of religious studies or something, and I'm sure you could do this as well. It probably wouldn't do the kids any favour in the school, but you're putting your emphasis on your beliefs onto your children before they've had a chance to actually make it themselves, which is exactly what these people are doing with evolution. It's a crime, I reckon. But that's it, people. Well, take a look for it yourself, and just it's a great one. This, I couldn't resist to do it. So thanks for watching. Catch you all later. Bye now.